welterweight GOAT already? Hey, what's up, fight nerds? This is your boy Gershon. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today we talk about UFC 258 that just passed this Saturday. It was quite a card. Obviously some fights were gone from it, but we're going to talk about some of the fights that I thought really interested me. We're really going to focus on the main event because it has tons of implications for the welterweight division. So let's get into some of these fights. First, we're going to start off with KELVIN GASTELUM and Ian Heinisch. Now, that was pretty awesome because obviously KELVIN GASTELUM got this win. This is obviously in the middleweight division. He had a 3-fight losing streak. He snapped that and he looked dominant. He was just taking down Ian Heinisch, who is a pretty accomplished wrestler. And he was pretty much being able to strike at will as well. Like you saw, like the skill set that we've grown to know and love from KELVIN GASTELUM. Like, obviously, after he lost to Israel Adesanya, he lost to Jack Hermanson, actually Darren Till, then Jack Hermanson after with a very quick submission. I think it was like a ankle, like a knee bar maybe. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong, but either way, I never doubted the type of skill that he has because he's actually, first of all, he's only 29 and he's pretty much seen like the who's who. Not just in the middleweight division, but he was in the welterweight division as well. So I'm glad to see him in a win column. And there are some interesting matchups for him going forward. I would like to see him against Costa, Vittori. There's so many people he hasn't fought yet, and that'd be a very interesting matchup. So good for him. And Ian Heinisch, it's not over for him, obviously, as well. He's still growing, so I can't wait to see what he does in the division as well. In the co-main event, it was Maycee, Barber, and Alexa Grasso in the flyweight division for women. So what I loved about this fight was I actually really like both of these fighters. I think they're both really skilled. Obviously, Maycee Barber has set some lofty goals for herself, saying she wants to be like the youngest champion, you know, even younger than what John Jones was. And she's only 22 years old. So she's actually skilled. She's pretty tough. But she was coming off a loss. And she lost tonight too. Now, was it a great fight? Yes. Whoever made this match knew this was going to be a big back and forth, and obviously she was like the bigger and stronger opponent, but it was crazy because Alexa Grasso was over here throwing up like arm bars, I think triangles, like she was like transitioning. It was great, and you got a chance to really see Alexa Grasso bigger because she like her back is like huge, and she's like throwing 1-2s, like she's so clean boxing, like she doesn't like to throw too many kicks. So I think that will give her a hard time against a lot of the elite people, like for example like Valentina, the champion, who can do just about everything well. But if you're just sitting here and you put her in boxing range and she can just give you a quick 1-2, you're gonna see it. It's bad. She hit Maycee with like some clean 1-2s and it was just jarring. Like you heard it. I'm just watching it on the on TV and I'm going like, damn, like that was pretty bad. And she earned that win. It was good. Now she's in the top 10 in the flyweight division. So I can't wait to see what she got going forward. I think there's quite a few people she would beat in there. But I can see the top 3 or 4 maybe giving her a hard time, especially if they're super wrestling heavy. But let's see because she did really good on the ground this time. So I can't wait to see what's going on with Alexa Grasso. She's also obviously like a very nice person, very well spoken. So I think she'd be a great ambassador for her country and her sport as well. Well, in this sport as well. Before I get to the main event, there's two matches I just want to shout out real quick because they were pretty crazy. We've got Maki Pitolo and I believe Johnny Marquez, I hope I'm saying it right, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Him pretty much getting battered for majority of the match and then winning by submission. And then doing this weird like wrestling promo where he's like, oh, the states, you know, hashtag put your state in. It was very weird. It was very weird. And then him calling out Miley Cyrus. And apparently that ended up with her saying like, you know, put MC, like shave it in your chest hair. And then, you know, I love whatever. It was weird. But I guess he got what he wanted. I don't know. And then also Anthony Hernandez versus Rodolfo Vieira, which was nuts because Rodolfo was coming. He's like, he had like a crazy like list of accomplishments for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And after the first 2 minutes of the match, he was just so gassed. Like he wasn't even hurt. He just couldn't put up a fight. And he just like literally he just gave up. Like he had no more energy. And I mean, it's probably because of just how muscular he is and it takes a lot of oxygen to walk around like that. But Anthony Fluffy Hernandez choked out like somebody that decorated in jiu-jitsu, which is great for him, great for his resume. Very interesting match. So yeah, if you haven't watched that, go and watch it. That's worth the watch. The main event for the welterweight championship between Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. So this obviously had a lot of hype going into it. Former training partners, Kamaru leaves and goes to train with Trevor Whitman and Justin Gaethje, while Gilbert stayed at Stanford MMA. Obviously, I'm forgetting the head coach over there decided not to train Gilbert because he didn't want to get in between that, right? But this was very interesting because obviously they have styles that are very good for each other. Gilbert being the better stand-up guy, right? You know, more explosive. And that's what it seemed like. And then you had Kamaru being the better wrestler, better grappler, unless we're talking about jiu-jitsu, which Gilbert is a jiu-jitsu champion, right? Obviously, Kamaru does pretty much everything very well. He doesn't do any one thing. Besides wrestling. Wrestling is probably his strongest point, but like he's just very good at adapting. And Gilbert was like, you know, I'm ready. If he takes me down, he knows what's waiting for him. And I know he doesn't want to stand up with me. That was the whole story going into it, which made this an excellent matchup. So while watching it, right in the first round, you see Kamaru get stumbled, which made sense. But then obviously one of the big things that I saw from this match was like, and Gilbert mentioned it as well, which he was just overzealous. Like he just wanted to knock him out. And instead of just chipping away, a lot of fighters do that. They want the knockout, they want the finish, instead of just chipping away. Like, you daze him out, all right, chip at his legs. Do what you have to do, stop his movement, and then just wait for it, get patient. If it's there for you, it's there for you, but don't rush it. And obviously, where Kamaru showed his strength was after he got rocked, he didn't just change his game plan. He didn't just go into super survival mode. He stayed with the game plan. Like, he had those stiff jabs, and his 1-2s are nuts right now. And obviously that came from Trevor Whitman, who is extremely precise. You see how he is with Justin Gaethje, and Kamaru is probably very coachable, which is a great recipe when you have coachability and Trevor Whitman at the same time. You see it with Justin Gaethje. You see what that's turned him into. So you definitely saw some bigger things, because I thought they might start grappling. I thought they might do it, but obviously when he knocked down Gilbert was waiting for it, just wanted him to go into the guard. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to use my longer reach to just get some of those body shots, make him want to stand up, which he did. And then eventually, when he gave him a 1-2, knocked him on the floor, and then he switched and then hit him with like a really stiff jab, which literally pretty much ended the fight until he went down and just gave him a couple more shots. That's nuts. That was nuts to see that from Kamaru Usman, because he's not really known for knocking people out besides what we saw with Colby Covington. But that was that's 5 rounds of getting hit like that. So for him to do that so soon, it was just precision. So he's gotten better. He keeps getting better. He keeps showing you different things. So at the end, obviously after him finishing Gilbert, he says, I want people to respect me and stuff like that. And I want to talk about that. I personally, I know Kamaru Usman is very talented. Like, he's super talented. He's beaten quite a list of names, whether it's Tyron, Jorge, Colby, Damian Maia. Like, he's got like a long list of names. Leon Edwards, stuff like that. I will say this though, and it's not taking away from him. This is just kind of the truth. A lot of these people, they play a weird game with him. Like, he likes to be by the cage. These dudes don't ever circle away from the cage and keep him in the middle. I don't know why that is. Like, maybe he looks very big and they don't want to get drawn into what they think his power is. But no one is chopping away at the stilts that he has, or his legs. You know what I mean? No one's doing that. Gilbert did a couple times, and you saw it was pretty effective. And he should have kept it that. Just kept mixing it up and made him think about that. But they get drawn into his wrestling because he'll stand up with you for longer than he needs to. He's also very hittable. He gets hit. He doesn't move his head all that well. But it's, for some reason, people go into the trap. Like Jorge Masvidal did the same thing. He hit him a couple times, but then eventually he kept winding up putting his back to the cage. Get out of there. Get out of there. Circle away from it and make him have to stay in the center with you because he's not out striking you. And force him to do the thing that you've been preparing for, which is wrestle. So I noticed that. That doesn't mean that he's not great and he doesn't adapt. He does what he's supposed to do to win. If the other guy doesn't do it, that's not his fault. But I will say the comparisons to him and GSP are a little premature based off of achievements, right? A number of title fight wins and so on and so forth, right? Like obviously he has a lot of welterweight wins. He surpassed him in that. That's cool. But title fights and title wins, that he's got to increase that to get to that part of the conversation. However, it's not far beyond the pale to say that there are people right now who are definitely harder to face than when GSP was going around. You can say that. Same thing happens. I'd say the same thing when you talk about Adesanya in the middleweight division and Anderson. Like, there are much better strikers now than there were back when Anderson was fighting. Like, Anderson just toyed with people. And even though Adesanya is making things look pretty easy, he's not facing people who are pushovers. He's not. And a lot of those guys probably might have beat Anderson even in his prime, you understand? Like, Kelvin Gastelum's a beast. Like, he just is. Robert Whittaker is a beast. And you see, like, what happened in the Whittaker fight, and you saw what Kelvin Gastelum brought to Adesanya. Whatever. That's a different thing. But I'm just saying, it's a little premature for this. But if anyone didn't respect him based off of what he does in the octagon, that's pretty stupid, right? I think a lot of people just thought he was a bit cringy, right? Like, in terms of, like, how he talks. But there's a lot of people who are cringy. So that shouldn't turn you off from him immediately, right? You should still like the skill. But obviously the sport is weird. Casual fans are very weird. And, like, I'm excited to see every fight that he has because I understand what he brings. But some people need more. Some people need to, you know, people to walk around like Vince McMahon to be really or insult everyone when they fight, right? Which, you know, he said some weird things, but whatever. And in the end of the day, he needs to also get promoted differently too, because, you know, why? So an interviewer asked in the post-fight press conference, you know, are you going to put him in Modelo commercials? And that was a good thing. Like, are you going to promote him because Brian Ortega wasn't a champion and he was in it? I understood Amanda Nunes, but Brian Ortega, he wasn't in. He was getting promoted. He was just an up-and-comer. This guy's a champion. He's defended it multiple times. When will he get that type of promotion? I think he does deserve it. But yeah, that's all I got to say about UFC 258 so far. I can't wait for 259. That is a loaded card. So we'll definitely talk about that. And I'll probably make another video about some more upcoming matches, right? So until then, keep on watching these fights, man. Into the nerd.